Hi everyone, we're going to be talking about the exciting industry of electric vehicles and specifically the ticker symbol NIO, the Chinese electric vehicle car maker. Welcome to YCG, where we help your capital grow so you can achieve your financial goals. If that's something that interests you, then hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so that you don't miss a thing. I'm Will Kruger, CEO here at YCG, and today I'm joined by Brian Yacktman, President and Chief Investment Officer, and Elliott Savage, Partner and Portfolio Manager here at YCG. Welcome, guys.
Hey, great to have this discussion.
So we're going to be talking about electric vehicles and NIO, and there's a lot of excitement in the marketplace around this space, and you're going to want to stick around. We're going to be talking about the advantages and the exciting things about this industry, but we've also got a few warnings to share as well. So let's open up the discussion, guys. What do you think about what are we seeing in the electric vehicle space, and what do we like about it?
Well, with NIO, what's interesting, they're kind of they're viewed as the Tesla in China, if you will. So there's a lot of hype around this. People have seen the success of Tesla stock and excited to vote up now this NIO stock, thinking, could they become the next Tesla in China? And what they're doing that's a little bit different, though, is they're creating these stations where the vehicles, you can go, it's almost like a gas station, if you will, but they're setting up infrastructure where you can go and swap out your battery, your car battery, in 3 minutes. And so very quickly, just kind of, if you wanted to come in, swap out that battery, and then move on your way. But as I understand it, these locations, they're also kind of trying to make them a little bit into like a club, if you will, or a place to kind of hobnob and maybe eat, drink, or whatever. So it almost, we talk a lot about at YCG about pricing power. And one of the ways we talk about it coming about is through social status. And they're trying to create that a bit of a status thing here where maybe you're a part of this exclusive club, it sounds like. So that's a potential positive for NIO.
Yeah, and then I would just add on to that it's the other thing we talked about is network effects. So social status networks are one kind of network, but another kind of network is just a network where you have the more people who enter the network, the more valuable the network is. And so there are also these kind of long-term cases of how long-term bull cases of how the more cars you have on the road, the more you can create this sort of distributed electrical system throughout the economy that could disrupt, the utility infrastructure, or you could also create this distributed network of cars where you can get more and more data that helps the cars to be better and better at autonomous driving. And so sort of the story of the Uber bull case is essentially that they just disrupt transportation and take a lot of the transportation profits, and then disrupt the utility industry and take a lot of the utility industry profits.
Yeah.
Right. And, if you have this enormous network with just the infrastructure alone, right, there could be some sort of a competitive mode around that where they're the first mover advantage. They've got that the most stations set up. And so that creates that network effect of, okay, I trust and know that if I get a NIO vehicle, I'll be able to go to almost anywhere because they built out the biggest infrastructure. So it can almost become a bit of a winner takes all scenario potentially. And some other ways I just think, these are maybe more minor than kind of the biggest bull case, Elliott, that you brought up, but could be like the software. I think of my Apple phone. I've tried to switch from an Apple phone to an Android, and I felt like I couldn't do it because of the switching costs. I didn't want to learn the new software. Could it be that some of these vehicles become that way as they become more software heavy, that maybe you're used to navigating that software and you don't want to go into another vehicle to try to figure out that software? But on all of these cases, we're talking about pricing power, that something about it gives them the ability to then charge a premium because of the social status, the brand, the network effects, the switching costs because you're used to the software, or maybe it becomes a subscription model and they have pricing power on the subscription to have access to their fleet of vehicles. But the other way is, of course, if there is no pricing power, Well, what I want to say is we don't know if there will be pricing power because a lot of times competition and innovation step in, they drive down the price, but you could still potentially win if you're the lowest cost producer. And so if they're able to become that lowest cost producer, no matter what these vehicles sell for, as prices get driven down through competition and innovation, if you can make them less expensive than everyone else, then you can get excess profits that way.
All right, well, let's switch here. We talked about some of the warnings and some of the things we need to consider with regards to NIO and the industry. So what are some of those warnings that we need to consider when we're analyzing this stock as well as the industry at large?
Well, I think the really first important difference between Tesla and NIO is the fact that NIO is a Chinese company. And when a company is Chinese, there are a lot of additional corporate governance risks that we don't have to worry about in the US. And so, number one, they have what's called a variable interest entity structure, so that as an international investor, someone who doesn't live in China, we actually just own a piece of paper that is sort of a contract that we'll get paid based on the profits of the stock, but we don't actually own the company. And so China could, for various geopolitical reasons, decide that they want to dilute the people who own that interest in the variable entity, and still protect the Chinese investors. And so I think that's a huge problem that people should consider. And while it hasn't happened yet, it's a big risk that could result in catastrophic downside.
And a similar cousin to that VIE issue is just the fact that China has in the past sometimes intervened in industries and changed the course of profits of companies just by being very, dictatorship and just saying, this is what we're going to do. What's in my mind right now is like Tencent and not allowing approval of certain video games that investors thought would become huge profits, and they came in and tried to back them up, and remove that ability to make profits. But on the other hand, that could become a benefit, right? If China says we're gonna back you, then all of a sudden they could have the backing of the Chinese government, and that could become a big windfall too.
And the other kind of related piece is that a lot of these companies are either owned by the government or have various important relations with the government, and so a lot of the local governments in China have a lot of debt, and they have to figure out ways to finance that debt. And so there's a company called Maotai, which is the largest spirits company in China and has tons of pricing power and all these different things. But because of that relationship with the Chinese government, a local government basically said, we need to raise some more money. So you, Maotai, give us 4% extra ownership in your company. And so those are just, things that you really don't have to deal with in the US that are just, warnings to be aware of.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just bring up the fact that they're not making money yet, right? They're running losses. The losses are actually getting larger. And granted, I recognize there are businesses that have run losses and they end up, of course, turning the corner and becoming super profitable in the future. But the point I'm making is it's not even proven yet that the model works yet, that they will make profits. You can't guarantee that. And so as you're running larger and larger losses, I know the saying is, well, they're just reinvesting. And it's happened, right? Like Home Depot ran negative free cash flows for years before as they continued to build out and then eventually became super profitable. And it's happened to scores of companies that way. But there's plenty of companies that run losses and then they end up, it doesn't work and you lose it all. So
those are great points. And I also think we need to look at valuation. What's really interesting about not only NIO, but so many of these other startups is that they're accessing the capital markets to generate cash and to infuse in the business. And we're seeing astronomical valuations at these prices. And it's hard to know what NIO is, but certainly it's 10 to 40 times cash flows. and or revenues, and we've got to be real careful about how, can they access that ATM machine constantly, and will the stock price support that? And so I think we've got to be real careful from a valuation standpoint. None of these businesses are making net income or are profitable, like Brian was saying. And so I think that's something that we got to consider, and it certainly is a warning.
Well, and think about it, Will, if the higher the valuation gets, the less room for error there is.
Sure.
And so you have to be more certain that all the positives in your bull case will pan out. Because if they don't, then it really is look out below. I mean, a lot of money has been lost trying to chase the next Microsoft, Google, Facebook. And we don't know what will happen here, but I suspect the same could be the case here. Nobody knows. It could be catastrophic.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into kind of this last point, which is that every time a new major technology comes out that probably will change the world, investors get incredibly excited about it, and they start bidding up all these different players that they think could potentially be the winners. And so you've seen that with the electric vehicles and just the kind of greening of the economy and all the renewable energy today. But then we also saw that with railroads in the past, but sort of most recently, something that we actually experienced, as investors was in the internet bubble. And so in the internet bubble, we were in college, and some of us were managing our own money, and we remember thinking at the time that we were using the winning search engine. I remember when InfoSpace came out, and I was like, this is amazing. This is the winner. And then another company came out called AltaVista, and that was even better. And I was like, well, actually, maybe this one's the winner. And InfoSpace went public in 1998, and AltaVista was scheduled to go public in April of 2000. But then, as we know, the internet bubble burst, and many of these stocks went down 90% plus. And many of them were, including InfoSpace and AltaVista, were total wipeouts. And what's interesting is that the actual winner in the space, Google, didn't go public until 2004. So in that initial period where there was all this speculation, no matter which company you picked, you were going to be wrong because the winner hadn't even gone public yet. And so I think that's something to keep in mind, is just how hard it is to know in advance which company is going to be the winner.
Yeah, it's crazy. And, even if the other thing, Elliott, to your point about things dropping 90%, if you did pick the winner, let's say NIO is the winner and it's going to just do amazing and winner take all scenario, and these dreams that were the speculations are true, they come to pass. If it does experience a 90% drop, like what happened there, like what happened with Amazon, right? Amazon went down 90%. I'll bet you, I don't know that anybody held on all the way through from the top and watched that thing drop 90% and continue to hold to today. So even if it is the winner, if you do experience that kind of speculative drop too, right now, this whole thing's trading on hope and speculation and what we kind of refer to as the greater fool theory, that someone else will come along and surely they'll pay more because they see this beautiful vision of what NIO could become. But if that stops, the party stops, I don't know that people are going to hang on through the end if NIO does even become the winner. So we don't even know.
Well, this has been a great discussion, guys. Thank you so much. For those of you who made it to the end of the video, leave your comments below. Let us know what you think of the EV space and what of the stock NIO. Check out our other videos, and we'll see you next time.